Hello, Jeff Chadha here.
Hey Jeff, it's me, Ricky J from the British Columbia Real Estate Podcast channel. Welcome back to the podcast after the holiday season here, and Happy New Year before we start the first episode of 2022. How have you been?
Hey, Rick. Happy New Year to you too. Hope you had a fantastic holidays season. I know we didn't actually get a chance to talk over the last few days with some swamp, but it was good. It was good. Nothing too crazy. I don't party as hard as I did when I was 22. Our Tuesdays nowadays are like someone's New Year, so it's really not much more partying anymore. It's more like, okay, it's midnight, really? Okay, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah, not to mention the recovery process takes much longer as you get older, right?
Oh, exactly.
Now, Jeff, I wanted to get right into this episode to kick off the new year, okay?
Sure.
With asking you one of my loaded questions about the real estate market here locally, focusing more on Surrey, BC and the rest of the Fraser Valley there, Jeff. Can prices just keep going higher and higher this year in 2022? Do you think it will ever stop? Some large real estate brokerages have even forecasted that home prices might be up around 20% over the next 12 months nationwide, which I think is absolutely crazy. But this market, who knows what can happen? And more importantly, will this low inventory ever end, or will it just keep putting more stress on the real estate market? Loaded question there for you, buddy.
Well, Rick, I love your questions. But put it this way, I was reading a news article today, ironically, about our market and, affordability and what's going to happen in the upcoming year. Well, obviously, it's a hot button topic. Them seeing that 20% rise, they were saying that last year was roughly about 30%, right? So could it happen again? Of course. If these last few years have shown us anything, Rick, it's showing us that, anything can happen, right? We are not in a traditional market where we can actually predict what's going to happen now and what's going to happen then. It's, all these things that happen to us, we're in a new world, right? So we are right now still collecting data as to how to go about it, which also includes real estate. We've never had real estate in a pandemic like this before. We've never had all these kind of things. Sure, we've had similarities, but nothing as crazy as this. So if your question was, will I see these prices come down? I don't know, Rick. Hopefully they will. Hopefully. I've said this in other episodes that our market here is a very volatile market where kind of not almost even based on logic. It's very much emotionally business, right? Mostly driven. So it's very hard to predict.
Now, this market is just absolutely insane. You never know what's really going to happen, right? Now, Jeff, with home prices rising exponentially faster than most people's income right now, and has been like that for quite some time. Also, our Canadian inflation rate on top of that being around 4.7%, which is also crazy. Let's just keep in mind that there's more stimulus money coming as well due to this new Omicron variant. I hope I pronounced that right. Also, Omicron, sorry.
The Transformer variant, shall we call it?
Yeah, it's causing a lot of issues, even for me in the DJ community, right? And also stacking on top of these potential interest rate hikes that they're talking about doing throughout the year this year. Let's face the truth here as well. It's not about the interest rates going up. It's really about when they're going up, right? And do you think that there could be a potential crash or correction sometime this year due to all these factors?
Supposed quote unquote experts have been saying the word crash, or more people might relate to it better by the word bubble bursting, right? For many, many years. Could there be anything happening, Rick, right? Like it's really hard to predict. I really want to see how some of these experts are really taking into account the X factor of emotions in statistical environments right now. I don't know how they're doing it. It just doesn't make sense, right? So could there be a crash? Well, a lot of things have to come together to make it a crash. Now, with that being said, we've talked about this before. Right now, it seems like everything should be there for a crash. It seems like the perfect storm for it. But is it happening right now? No. So what more needs to happen? It's a question we're really putting out there. What more really needs to happen? What more needs to happen to cool our market down? I think almost everything that should have happened to create a market to slow down should have happened. Now, but we have the other factor here of inventory, right? Which is creating the market to be the same price that we're at right now. It's basic supply and demand. There's not enough homes out there with too many buyers. And the buyers that are out there are almost being scared into buying. That if you don't buy now, you're going to be left out. So could there be a crash? There could be, but it's really hard to say. I know sometimes our viewers look or listen to our podcast for advice, but once again, I want to put this out here. This is not really a hardcore advice on this topic. This is our opinions on this market here. That should it have crashed? Yeah, it probably should. It probably should. Is it going to? Probably not. There's a lot of people out there that are getting scared into buying. Rent prices are increasing. This the interest rates, is it having a crazy impact on it? No, not really. So I don't think there's going to be a crash anytime soon, because we just have way too many people there. Unless certain things start coming to play, unless, the government starts putting new restrictions in or new things start happening, it's very hard to say that's going to be a crash, because everything's still going the way that it was last year, and it didn't crash. The only thing that we really had this year, or sorry, I should say last year now, was the unfortunate flooding that happened, and even that didn't slow it down. So you got catastrophes on a level like that that's not slowing things down. So what will? It's very exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah, you just never know what's really going to happen, but it just seems people are getting more and more pushed out of the market here locally. Right? It's just ridiculous.
Well, ironic, as fast as they're getting pushed out is as fast as they're trying to get back in.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I talk with a lot of buyers, and a lot of our clients, their children are calling us too. And when I say children, I don't mean like 5-year-olds, obviously, right? But, early 20s are calling us and saying, what do you think? And I really have a conversation with them sometimes, and I have a sit down with them, and we go over their financing. And I tell them, well, they're like, well, my brother bought 7 years ago, and he's able to. I'm like, well, that's great. 7 years ago was a different market. Shoot, a year ago was a different market. Shoot, a month ago was a different market.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was going to say the same thing.
So, and we've mentioned this before. It's all about planning. You have to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Make sure you have a team behind you, which includes your mortgage broker, your realtor, your lawyers, everybody you need. Have that set and ready to go before you make that offer, because it's still, we not enough inventory. You're hoping that we can do all these kind of subject offers, but we just don't have enough inventory out there for you to play the slow game.
Definitely. Now, just wanted to mention real quick to all our audience to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy our content. If you subscribe to our channel, please comment and write, I have subscribed in the comment section, and we will respond to each and every one of you. And we will even send you a free JC Homes hoodie, one of our new zip up ones we have. All right. So definitely don't forget to comment and subscribe to this channel, guys. And we really appreciate you listening.
When you're saying we, the we is more of you, right?
Yes. And specifically speaking to our audience in Zimbabwe. The streaming platform listeners.
I noticed you said we a couple of times. Like, Rick, I do that at work.
I'll get on it for you guys. Don't worry. All right. Now, Jeff, let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say that there is a crash this year of around 15%, right around fall season. Now, do you think a 15% correction would allow for a lot more people being able to afford housing here locally, even though most Canadians, like we've talked about earlier, being in over their heads in debt, right? At all-time highs. So, I mean, taking that consideration in, and even possibly foreign buyers too, right? I mean, if that doesn't stop, and how much of a role is that playing in the real estate market locally here now, right? Even though that was a hot topic a while ago.
Well, Rick, forget about 15% here, right? Let's go back on the emotional factor, because a lot of things that we've been talking about are logical, right? If this happens, should this happen? Yes. If this happens, should that happen? Yes, right? They're logical ways of thinking. So let's just take that out of the equation right now and forget about logic, because like I said before, we're not in a logical market. We're more on emotional based. I think any correction, whether it be 15, whether it be 10, whether it be 5%, we'll still have people running to go view homes.
I think so too. Right? Yeah.
So I think it'll allow people to get into the market right now. But remember, we already have so many, I know you say Canadians, but we're really focused on our lower mainland market. I think any correction at all would almost cause people to go running and saying, oh, okay. But let me also add this point. Any correction be a snowball to, oh, wait a minute, the market's dropped 3%. Maybe we should wait. Maybe it'll keep slipping. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So once again, that's an emotional thing, right? Not a logical thing. So now if you look at that aspect, if the market drops, say 2% this month, and the next month it dropped 3%, the next month after that cost 4%. So now there is a snowball effect. So we also have to ask ourselves, because there's so many people in British Columbia, and I've said this to a lot of clients over the years, there's so much money over here. At what percent does it need to correct till that one person stands up and says, you know what, this is good enough for me. I want it. I'm going to buy it, and puts the correction on hold. Because remember, if one house sells in an area, that house now becomes, and they're all the same home. Let's just hypothetically say they're all the same house, right? That one house now becomes a market value. So now that neighbor wants to sell, do you think it's going to go down again? Because the neighbor's going to say, well, he just sold last week for $2 million. Why would I take 1.9? It now stopped that it stopped the roller coaster. It stopped the snowball effect. Right? So there's other things to look at than just saying, would a correction do this? Typically, logically, yes, right? But any correction would create, I think, any kind of frenzy. How long is that correction going to last until someone stands up and says, you know what, I'm good with this. I can buy it, because the fear of missing out.
That's true. That's a real thing. And even, just touching on that as well, the fear of missing out is such a real thing. There's just, sometimes you don't even know you're doing it, but you're just like, buy it subconsciously,
I always tell my buyers one thing, especially when the first-time home buyers, they're like, well, Jeff, are we making the right decision? Or should I buy this? And I'm like, are you nervous? They go, yeah. Are you a little bit scared? Yeah. I'm like, good, you should be. You're a first-time home buyer. It's a very scary thing. Right? If you're not nervous, you're not scared, then there's something wrong. If you're a first-time home buyer, you haven't had no experience and you're going so calmly, be a little bit nervous. It's fine to be nervous. It's fine to have buyer's remorse. You're going to have buyer's remorse, right? This after the second you bought it. One is going to be like, did I buy it at the right time? Did I have bought that? How about the market drop? Maybe I shouldn't have bought this. But before, it was, shoot, if I don't hurry up and buy, I'll be out of the market. Look what the news is saying. Look what this is saying. If I don't buy now, I'm going to get screwed, right?
Yeah, touching back on the whole, there is a correction. Real estate's one of those things that comes back right away, even during a correction, right? It might be one of the last non-tangible assets left for creating some kind of generational wealth for people, right?
No, you're right, Rick. I mean, a lot of cultures have been buying properties or acquiring properties or have ancestral properties that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Real estate has always been there from the beginning of time, type of thing. If you think about it that way, we won't get into the oldest profession because, we all kind of, hopefully we'll know what the oldest profession was.
Yeah. Right? It's real. It's true.
Right. But no, real estate's always been there. Always has been there. And I don't think it's anywhere to go. I forgot who said it best, but they're not building more land. Well, unless you're in Dubai, because Dubai actually literally does build land. Right. So there goes that quote. But it's crazy to see what this upcoming market's going to do, Rick. We've talked about the past of, is the market coming down? Is it the right time to buy? Is it this? Is it that? Logically speaking, one thing should be happening, but you have to look at the market today and where it stands today. And if you are willing to make a purchase, then go through the emotions, but more importantly, go through your finances. Can you afford this? Can you afford it? The market goes through a correction. Can you afford that? Are you buying just for the sake of buying, or are you buying with a plan? So we have conversations with our clients sometimes, and I'll ask them straight that, and this might sound really, really harsh. I'll go to my client and say, well, let's just say that unfortunately you lost your job and you do not have an income for the next 4 months. Do you have enough money in your savings account to pay for the mortgage for the next 4 months? And that took some of my clients a step back. Well, they took a step back and actually really had to look at their finances. And, I didn't need the answer. I just wanted to explain why I asked that question. And I told them, well, if this unfortunate pandemic over these last years taught us anything, it's life's unpredictable. And what we think we're secure in might not be the case. But time is still going to keep on moving. Whether or not we have a job, whether or not there's a pandemic, one thing's for certain, tax is going to be there, and so are the banks. And they're going to want their money. And are you financially ready for an incident that could come and disrupt our lives? So if you are planning to make a buy, I think right now, especially with everything that we've been through, Rick, planning is so important, so important.
It's like one of the biggest things.
It is. And it's not like it was 3-4 years ago where we never saw this coming, so we didn't, how could you really plan for this? But that's how passionate I am with the topic. It's very hard to say, Rick. It's a very scary market and an exciting market at the same time.
A roller coaster market. It's just crazy, right? And okay, Jeff, thanks for taking the time to have this quick convo today. All right, I know we got a little bit behind because of the holidays, but we're bringing a lot more awesome content for you guys coming up. Now, any final thoughts regarding your market predictions for this year, 2022, or anything else you wanted to add before we wrap this thing up here for today?
I know we're a little bit more comedic on the show and everything, but I'm going to try not to be as funny when I do the send-off here. Planning is so important, people. It is. We can joke around about this, joke around about that, but one thing not to joke around with are foreclosures and people losing their properties and things that happen in the industry that cause stress and grief. And I really want to talk about mental distress because it's out there. I've seen it happen to realtors. I've seen it happen to buyers. I've seen it happen to sellers, right? Yeah. So if I can lead a main thing, it's, everyone stay safe. The market's going to do what the market does, but if you're planned properly, have a good team behind you, you'll come out of this. But if those are ones that are running crazy on emotions, you know what? Some people roll the dice and they get lucky. Most don't. And we try not to have that happen with most of our clients where they're just rolling the dice. We want to know the outcome or at least guide them to a proper outcome. So my last parting word on this episode today is plan, people. Really plan.
Beautiful, beautiful. Excellent response to that. And let's all pray that automation doesn't take our jobs in the future, everyone.
Automation not taking realtor jobs. People want to blame realtor for everything.
Now, okay, great episode today, Jeff. Thanks a lot for taking the time and doing that. Now, make sure you all like, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you like our content, because we got a lot more videos coming this year in 2022. I'm really excited. Ricky J and Jeff Chadha from JC Homes signing out. See you guys on the next episode, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Well, there you go. Bye. I said it. You happy, Rick?
It's perfect. Perfect. Thank you, everybody.